Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about how to be happy according to the great traditions. Something that I have always loved to do is to look for the deep wisdom of our forefathers in every tradition and culture in order to see if we can find grains of wisdom of how to be happy and to find what people have been using throughout the times to be happy. If you think about it, things like psychology or life coaching, these are newer fields, but human beings have been concerned, whether through philosophy or religion or through, family tales, myths. They've been concerned with how to live a more complete life and how to be happier. And one of the ways that human beings have passed down these traditions or these guidelines is through religions. And so I thought it would be fun to go ahead and look at the core essence of some of the big diverse religions out there, and what they say is some guidelines on how to be happier. But before we begin, go ahead and click on the subscribe button if you want more about happiness, relationships, nutrition, and on the notification bell to be notified every time there's a new video. So before we begin, I really want this video to be accessible for all. So I'm not going to be using, things that might be alienating to people who are from different religions or cultures. I won't be talking about prophet names or specifics of every religion, but I'm really just going to get down to a couple grains and kernels of beautiful advice that we can pull from these, great world traditions. Obviously, this is not an all inclusive. There are so many more knowledge, tips in each religion. And of course, I'm not practicing any of these individual religions, so I'm not going to be able to give you, a lowdown in such a short amount of time of every religion. So just be aware of that. And, also when this is done, feel free to share some things from your religion that helps with happiness. Okay, so going in random order, Buddhism. So in Buddhism, there's this concept of compassion. They call it dharma, but basically that, having a deep compassion towards yourself and towards every living thing and others is one of the key ways to achieve happiness. Because if you are compassionate and kind-hearted towards yourself, if you are compassionate and kind-hearted towards every living thing, that just gives you not only a sense of bonding, but a sense of peacefulness that increases your ability to feel good and be happy. Another key precept in Buddhism is this concept of controlling the mind through a daily practice. Really learning, really realizing that the mind can sometimes be wild. They talk about the monkey mind, and not always taking every single thought that you have as the end all be all, the ultimate truth. Realizing that sometimes we have thoughts that are kind of crazy. Sometimes our mind runs amok. So having a daily practice where you learn how to rein that in, whether it's learning how to think less, talk less, be in silence more, or just learning how to observe your mind so you don't take it as seriously. This concept of observing the mind, that one of the ways that we are all perhaps familiar with this is through the idea of meditation. An ongoing meditation practice is something that Buddhism is famous for, and is a great idea, and has now been taken into this more secular world. It's been taken into the medical world as a way to really just kind of relax your mind. And a third concept from Buddhism that's really interesting, and it also is something that we see in psychology or that we see in life coaching, is this idea of suffering comes from dwelling in the past or being too future concerned. That really, being set free, being happy is learning how to live in the here and now, because the here and now is all you really have. this is your life right here, right now. And so, if you can learn how to bring yourself more into here and now, to stop being upset about things in the past or regrets, to stop worrying so much about the future all the time, that can really bring more equanimity to your life. Okay, another great tradition, Christianity. There are so many forms of Christianity, of course, but if we go to the core and the beginning messages, one of the first messages about how to find happiness is through this idea of happiness through service to others, through doing good deeds towards others, is really a core precept of Christianity and how to find happiness. And I think that we're already starting to see, that certain themes are going to come out throughout all of these concepts about how to be happier. Another trait is this idea of finding inner peace within yourself, as opposed to finding peace within materialistic things. So you're not necessarily going to find peace and happiness through extreme wealth, or through comparing yourself to others, or through being number one, but really that this idea of happiness starts within, with a connection to your soul, to your God, to whoever it is, this happiness within. And third of all, another great concept is this idea of finding peace through prayer. So and this idea that prayer can be done anywhere at any time. When you're alone by yourself, it doesn't have to be something that's shown towards the outside, but sitting and having a moment of prayer where you talk to yourself, you talk to your God, you talk to whoever it is that you speak with. And so this concept of prayer as being a component of happiness. Okay, next great world religion, Judaism. There's this idea of being thankful for what you have. Whether it's in their liturgy or their prayers, that constantly reminding yourself to be thankful for what you have, instead of looking at what you don't have, instead of questioning why you don't have what you don't have. This idea of gratitude, thankfulness, recognizing, that your glass is half full, recognizing everything that you have really is so key to being happy, appreciation. Next, a key concept is this idea of doing good deeds in the world. Again, this idea of service, doing good deeds, whether it's in your everyday routine, whether it's within your family life, whether it's towards the poor, but this idea that constant action of doing good deeds in the world is one of the ways to acquire a feeling of happiness. And a third concept is accepting that there's a reason for everything that happens to us, accepting that life is not just random. Now, whether or not you agree with this concept, one thing that we can't say for sure, and that we've seen come up in life coaching and in psychology world, is this idea of giving meaning to the bad things that happen to us really can kind of give a sense of purpose and help people to not fall into depression or hardship when things do happen to them. Taking what's happened to you and trying to find the meaning or trying to make meaning of it is really core to one's happiness. Another great world religion, Islam. So some interesting points here is this idea of taking care of yourself physically, taking care of your health, your diet, your hygiene as being a very key component of your happiness, that you have to take care of your outer body in order to take care of your inner body. Another great concept and key concept is this idea of making time for people and relationships, really bonding. That is a key principle of being social, donating to the poor, visiting, going and visiting people that are sick, visiting with being part of community as a key precept to happiness. And a third concept that you can really use towards happiness is, again, this idea of showing gratitude and doing good acts. So you see that this theme comes up over and over, no matter what great tradition, is this idea that you need to be thankful for what you have in your life. You want to show gratitude, and that you want to put things into the concrete acts. It's the doing the good acts that make you a happier person. And then the final tradition that we're going to discuss today is Hinduism. So some tips from Hinduism. The first one is this idea of self-love and feeling that you are loved and feeling that you are unique is a key precept to happiness, because if you feel that you are loved and you feel love, you are also able to love others wholeheartedly and fully. So really embracing this concept of love as integral to happiness. The next lovely nugget in Hinduism is this idea of not being envious, not comparing yourself to others, not being jealous, not wanting what others have for yourself, but loving them in whatever they have, and not having that sense of comparison. And a third, beautiful precept that can really help us with achieving happiness is this idea of interacting lovingly with every type of being. So meaning not only with human beings, but also with animals, with nature, that this concept of love needs to be taken out into action with every creature on the planet. And so this, taking it beyond the human to everything that we interact with in our lives, and having a loving relationship with the animals, how we treat our planet, etc., is core to our living happiness. I hope that you've really enjoyed this video. I would love to hear from you, what traditions you've learned growing up in terms of happiness, whether it's from your religion, whether you weren't religious but you came from a certain spiritual practice, whether it was the stories that your parents read to you growing up, just any other nuggets of wisdom about how to be happier, so that we can all learn from each other. Wishing you many blessings.